close your eyes and let the gentle rhythm of my voice carry you away to a time long past, a time shrouded in mystery and wonder, the Middle Ages. Imagine, if you will, a world bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, where the scent of wood smoke and herbs hangs heavy in the air. A world where the line between the earthly and the divine was often blurred, where faith intertwined with superstition, and where the explanations for the world's mysteries were often as captivating as they were unusual. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the tapestry of religious beliefs that shaped the lives of people during this era. We will explore a landscape of faith, fear, and folklore, where the everyday intertwined with the extraordinary, where miracles were whispered about in hushed tones, and where the unseen forces of the universe played a significant role in daily life. We will uncover beliefs that may seem strange or even unsettling to our modern sensibilities, yet were deeply ingrained in the hearts and minds of those who lived during this period. Prepare to be transported to a time of towering cathedrals and humble village churches, where the rich tapestry of religious life was woven with threads of both the sacred and the profane. We will delve into the beliefs surrounding the power of relics, the fear of demonic possession, and the profound reverence for saints and their miraculous interventions. We'll examine the widespread belief in witchcraft and the fear that fueled the witch hunts, and consider the role of the Church in shaping the social and political landscape of the time. The Middle Ages, a period spanning centuries, was not a monolithic entity. Its religious landscape was as varied and complex as the people who inhabited it. From the vast expanse of the Holy Roman Empire to the isolated monasteries nestled deep within the forests, from the bustling cities to the quiet villages scattered across the countryside, faith manifested itself in countless ways. Our journey will take us to all corners of this vast and fascinating world, uncovering the rich tapestry of belief systems that characterized this pivotal period in human history. We'll encounter beliefs that sprang from the deep-rooted fears of a time when disease, famine, and war were ever-present threats. Beliefs that offered comfort and solace in the face of uncertainty. Beliefs that provided explanations for the inexplicable, and beliefs that shaped the very fabric of daily life. We'll explore the intricate relationship between the church and the people, the power wielded by religious leaders, and the influence of religious institutions on the social and political structures of the time. Prepare to be captivated by tales of faith and superstition, of miracles and magic, of piety and persecution. Our journey will be one of discovery, of understanding, and of appreciation for the rich complexity of the medieval world. We will unravel the mysteries, one by one, gently peeling back the layers of history to reveal the fascinating beliefs that shaped the lives of those who lived centuries ago. Let us begin our exploration, and allow the whispers of the past to carry you to a land of wonder and intrigue. We will examine the pervasive influence of the Church, exploring its role in education, healthcare, and social justice, and discovering how its teachings shaped the very fabric of medieval society. We will also consider the impact of religious beliefs on art, architecture, and literature, examining how faith inspired some of the most breathtaking creations of the era. From the soaring heights of Gothic cathedrals to the intricate details of illuminated manuscripts, we will witness the profound influence of religion on the artistic expressions of the time. And as we journey through the medieval world, we will encounter not only the established doctrines of the Church, but also the diverse range of folk beliefs, pagan traditions, and popular superstitions that coexisted alongside official religious practices. This will be a journey into the heart of the Middle Ages, a journey that will challenge our assumptions, expand our understanding, and leave us with a deeper appreciation for the rich and complex tapestry of medieval religious life. Each story, each belief, each anecdote will be a brushstroke on the canvas of history, painting a vivid picture of a world both familiar and strangely alien. So, breathe deeply, relax your mind, and let the stories unfold. Settle into the comforting embrace of the narrative as we delve into the fascinating world of medieval religious beliefs. Let the whispers of history gently lull you into a peaceful slumber as we explore the fascinating, sometimes strange, and always captivating world of faith in the Middle Ages. Let's begin. Now, let us turn our attention to a period of profound suffering and widespread fear, the time of the Black Death. Picture, if you will, the chilling reality of the 14th century, where the shadow of death stretched long and dark across the land. The bubonic plague, a relentless and merciless killer, swept through Europe, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Towns and villages were decimated, families were torn apart, and the very fabric of society seemed to unravel. In the face of such unimaginable horror, the people of the Middle Ages turned to their faith for answers, for solace, and for salvation. The Black Death was not simply seen as a natural disaster. It was interpreted by many as a divine punishment, a manifestation of God's wrath upon a sinful humanity. This interpretation, fueled by religious dogma and a deep-seated fear of the unknown, shaped the responses to the plague in profound ways. The Church, the central institution of medieval life, played a crucial role in shaping these responses. Preachers, often driven by a fervent desire to bring their congregations closer to God, emphasized the need for repentance and atonement. Sermons resonated with the terror of the times, painting vivid pictures of hellfire and damnation for those who had fallen out of God's grace. The very air seemed to crackle with the tension between divine judgment and desperate pleas for forgiveness. This profound sense of divine retribution led to a surge in religious fervor. People flocked to churches, seeking comfort and absolution. Processions wound through the streets, their participants chanting prayers and carrying holy relics in a desperate attempt to ward off the plague. Monasteries and convents became havens for those seeking refuge from the ravages of the disease. Acts of piety and devotion became commonplace, as individuals sought to appease God's wrath through prayer, penance, and acts of charity. Yet, alongside this fervent piety, a darker side of religious response emerged. The overwhelming fear and despair spawned by the plague led some to engage in acts of self-flagellation, a practice of inflicting pain upon oneself as a form of penance. Imagine the stark images of individuals whipping themselves, their bodies bloodied and bruised, as they sought to atone for the perceived sins of humanity. These acts of self-mortification were born out of a desperate attempt to appease a seemingly angry God, a desperate plea for mercy in the face of overwhelming mortality. The Black Death, therefore, was not merely a biological catastrophe. It was also a spiritual crisis. It challenged the very foundations of medieval society and forced individuals to confront their mortality in the most visceral way. The religious responses to the plague, while sometimes extreme, reflected the deep-seated faith and profound fears of the medieval world. They revealed a society grappling with the weight of divine judgment, seeking solace in prayer, and desperately seeking to understand the reasons behind such devastating suffering. As we reflect on the horrors of the Black Death and the religious responses it engendered, let us remember the human cost of this devastating pandemic. Let us also acknowledge the complex tapestry of faith, fear, and resilience that characterized the medieval response to this devastating plague. The scenes of religious fervor and self-mortification, though unsettling to our modern sensibilities, offer a glimpse into the hearts and minds of a people grappling with unimaginable suffering. The echoes of their prayers and their pleas for mercy still resonate across the centuries, a testament to the enduring power of faith in the face of death. Let the quiet contemplation of this historical moment gently guide you toward peaceful slumber. Rest now, and allow the gentle rhythm of my voice to carry you to a place of serenity and calm. Drifting now from the somber echoes of the Black Death, we find ourselves drawn into a different, yet equally compelling aspect of medieval religious fervor, the rise of the flagellant movements. Imagine, if you will, a world consumed by fear and uncertainty, with the very air seemed thick with the weight of mortality. In this atmosphere of profound anxiety, a unique form of religious expression emerged, the public processions of self-flagellating penitents. These weren't isolated incidents. Rather, they represented a widespread phenomenon that swept across Europe during the 14th century. Groups of flagellants, often numbering in the hundreds or even thousands, would march through towns and cities, their bodies bearing the marks of self-inflicted wounds. Their processions were a spectacle, a public display of penance, and a stark reflection of the deep-seated anxieties of the time. The rituals of the flagellants were striking in their intensity. Clad in simple robes, often with their heads covered, they would whip themselves relentlessly, their bodies bleeding and bruised. Their chants and prayers filled the air, a mournful chorus echoing the collective suffering and fear. These were not acts of fleeting emotion. The flagellants subjected themselves to rigorous schedules of self-discipline and self-mortification, often engaging in extended periods of fasting and prayer alongside their self-flagellation. The social and psychological factors contributing to the popularity of these movements are complex and intertwined. The devastating impact of the Black Death undoubtedly played a significant role. The plague, with its indiscriminate nature and devastating mortality rate, shattered the sense of order and security that underpinned medieval society. People desperately sought explanations for the suffering, and many found it in the belief that the plague was divine retribution for the sins of humanity. The flagellant movements offered a powerful means of expressing this collective guilt and seeking atonement. By subjecting themselves to physical pain, the flagellants sought to appease God's wrath and avert further catastrophe. Their processions became a public act of repentance, a communal expression of sorrow, and a shared plea for divine mercy. In a world where life felt precarious and death loomed large, the flagellant movements provided a sense of purpose and community, a shared ritual that bound individuals together in their shared fear and their collective hope for redemption. Furthermore, the flagellant movements provided a powerful means of expressing social anxieties. The existing social structures, already strained by the plague, were challenged by the pervasive sense of uncertainty and fear. The flagellant movements, in their radical rejection of worldly concerns and their focus on spiritual purification, offered a form of social protest and a powerful alternative to the established norms. However, the flagellant movements were not without their critics. The Church, initially tolerant of the movement, eventually condemned the flagellants as heretical, expressing concern about the potential for disorder and the unauthorized nature of their practices. This condemnation, however, did little to quell the movement's popularity. Indeed, the very act of being condemned seemed to fuel the flagellants' fervor, enhancing their image as radical reformers and strengthening their appeal to those who felt disenfranchised or marginalized. The flagellant movements offer a window into the anxieties and religious fervor of the Middle Ages. They highlight the ways in which individuals and communities sought to cope with the profound challenges of their time, finding solace and purpose in acts of self-mortification and public penance. Their rise and spread speak to the powerful social and psychological factors that can shape religious expression, demonstrating the complex interplay between faith, fear, and the search for meaning in a world beset by suffering. Let these images, though intense, fade softly into the background of your mind as you gently drift towards sleep. Allow the gentle rhythm of my voice to lull you into a tranquil state of rest. Sleep now, and let the peace of the night envelop you. As the echoes of the flagellant processions fade, we turn our attention to another powerful aspect of medieval religious life, the widespread veneration of relics. Close your eyes and imagine a world where faith wasn't just a belief system, but a tangible, almost physical presence embodied in objects imbued with sacred power. This was the world of relic veneration, a practice deeply ingrained in the religious landscape of the Middle Ages. Relics, in their broadest sense, were objects associated with holy figures, particularly saints. These could range from fragments of saints' bodies, bones, hair, or even clothing, to objects they had owned or used. The belief underpinning the veneration of relics was that these objects possessed a sacred aura, a lingering essence of the saint's holiness. They were believed to hold the power to heal, protect, and even grant miraculous favors. The acquisition and display of relics became a significant aspect of religious life, fueling fierce competition among churches and monasteries. The possession of a significant relic, such as a fragment of the true cross or a piece of the Virgin Mary's garment, could elevate a church's status and attract pilgrims from far and wide. These pilgrimages were not mere sightseeing trips. They were acts of profound religious devotion, undertaken with the fervent hope of receiving blessings or cures. The power attributed to relics was immense. Individuals suffering from illness or injury would make pilgrimages to venerate relics, seeking healing through their miraculous power. The touch of a relic, a prayer offered before it, or simply the presence in its vicinity was believed to be capable of effecting miraculous cures. Chronicles and hagiographies of the period are replete with accounts of such miraculous interventions, reinforcing the belief in the potent spiritual efficacy of relics. Consider, for example, the veneration of the Shroud of Turin, believed by many to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. The shroud, with its enigmatic image, became a powerful symbol of faith, drawing pilgrims from across Europe who sought spiritual solace and physical healing through contact with the sacred object. Similarly, the numerous fragments of the true cross, scattered throughout Christendom, each held their own significance and attracted devoted pilgrims seeking blessings and divine intervention. The belief in the power of relics wasn't confined to the clergy or the elite. It permeated all levels of medieval society. Ordinary individuals, as well as powerful rulers and church officials, sought to acquire and venerate relics, seeking to bring their sacred power into their daily lives. Relics were incorporated into religious rituals, displayed prominently in churches, and even carried into battle as sources of protection and divine favor. The widespread veneration of relics highlights a fundamental aspect of medieval religious experience: the close intertwining of the spiritual and the material. In a world where literacy was limited and access to theological knowledge was restricted, the tangible presence of relics offered a powerful way to engage with the divine. They provided a concrete link to the sacred, making the unseen world of faith accessible and tangible. Moreover, the veneration of relics fulfilled a vital social function. The shared experience of pilgrimage, the collective prayers offered before relics, and the communal celebrations surrounding their display fostered a sense of unity and belonging within medieval communities. Relics served as powerful symbols of shared faith and identity, reinforcing social bonds and creating a sense of collective purpose. The belief in the power of relics also reveals the limitations of medieval medical understanding. In the absence of effective medical treatments for many diseases, relics offered a source of hope and healing. They provided a tangible focus for faith, offering comfort and solace in the face of illness and suffering. The miraculous cures attributed to relics, though often based on faith rather than scientific evidence, serve as powerful affirmations of their sacred power and the efficacy of religious devotion. As we continue our journey through the strange religious beliefs of the Middle Ages, the veneration of relics stands out as a testament to the profound faith and the deep-seated anxieties of the time. It reveals a world where the boundaries between the spiritual and the material were blurred, where the power of faith was inextricably linked to the tangible presence of sacred objects. Let the imagery of these sacred objects fade gently into the quiet depths of your mind as you prepare for restful slumber. The weight of history, the whispers of the past, will now gently recede, allowing the tranquility of sleep to embrace you completely. Sleep soundly now and dream peacefully. Drifting from the hushed reverence of relic veneration, let us now embark on a different kind of journey, the pilgrimage. Imagine, if you will, the dust of medieval roads rising beneath your feet, the rhythmic thud of countless footsteps echoing through the landscape. This was the world of the medieval pilgrimage, a powerful expression of faith that intertwined personal devotion with communal experience. Pilgrimages were not merely journeys. They were transformative experiences, imbued with both physical and spiritual significance. Medieval individuals undertook these arduous journeys to sacred sites for a variety of reasons: to seek healing, to obtain forgiveness for sins, to express gratitude for divine blessings, or simply to deepen their spiritual connection with the divine. The destinations of these pilgrimages were varied and geographically dispersed. Some of the most popular destinations included the Holy Land, associated with the life and death of Jesus Christ; Rome, the seat of the papacy; Santiago de Compostela in Spain, the purported burial place of the Apostle James; and Canterbury Cathedral in England, the shrine of St. Thomas Becket. Each destination carried its own unique significance and attracted pilgrims from diverse backgrounds and motivations. The journey itself was often a challenging and arduous undertaking. Medieval roads were often poorly maintained, and travelers faced the risks of banditry, illness, and the unpredictable elements. The physical demands of the pilgrimage were considerable, requiring endurance, resilience, and unwavering faith. Yet, these hardships were seen as tests of devotion, with the struggles endured considered acts of penance that would enhance the spiritual rewards of the pilgrimage. Pilgrims often traveled in groups, providing mutual support and companionship along the way. These groups offered a sense of community and shared purpose, bonding individuals through their shared faith and experiences. The journey became a time of reflection, prayer, and spiritual growth, strengthening bonds among fellow travelers and fostering a sense of shared identity. Upon reaching their destination, pilgrims participated in various religious rituals and ceremonies. They would venerate relics, pray at sacred sites, and participate in communal worship. The experience of reaching the destination was itself profoundly moving, providing a sense of accomplishment and spiritual fulfillment. The culmination of the journey brought a sense of profound peace, a tangible reward for the sacrifices and hardships endured. Beyond the spiritual rewards, pilgrimages also had significant social and economic impacts. The flow of pilgrims generated revenue for local communities along the pilgrimage routes, supporting inns, shops, and other businesses. The exchange of ideas and cultural practices among pilgrims from diverse regions also contributed to the spread of knowledge and the development of a shared cultural identity. The construction and maintenance of pilgrimage routes also spurred economic development and infrastructure improvement. The building of hostels, bridges, and other facilities along these routes created jobs and stimulated economic activity. The establishment of hospitals and other charitable institutions along the pilgrimage routes provided essential services to travelers, reflecting the importance of caring for those undertaking these journeys of faith. The stories and accounts of medieval pilgrimages are filled with details that bring the era to life. The songs sung along the way, the prayers recited at roadside shrines, the stories shared around campfires at night. These narratives highlight the deep-seated faith and the profound spiritual experiences that define the lives of medieval pilgrims. As the echoes of these journeys fade, we are left with a sense of the profound impact of these pilgrimages on the religious, social, and economic landscape of the Middle Ages. They were more than just physical journeys. They were expressions of unwavering faith, testaments to human endurance, and powerful symbols of shared community. Let the image of these journeys, the shared faith and the long, winding roads, gently lull you into a peaceful sleep. Rest now, and may your dreams be filled with the quiet strength of faith. Now, let us delve into the heart of medieval piety, the profound belief in the power of saints' intercession. Imagine a world where the veil between the earthly and the divine felt thin, where the prayers of the faithful could be carried on the wings of angels to the ears of those who had already walked through the pearly gates. This was the world of the medieval saint, a world of powerful intercession and unwavering faith. The saints, Those who had lived exemplary lives of faith and devotion were not merely historical figures. They were active participants in the lives of the faithful. They were believed to possess a unique connection to the divine, capable of acting as intermediaries between God and humanity. Their prayers, it was believed, held a special weight, capable of influencing the course of earthly events. The medieval understanding of sainthood was nuanced and often involved local veneration of individuals deemed holy, long before official canonization by the Church. This meant that a village might have its own locally revered saint, alongside the more widely celebrated figures recognized by the broader Church. This created a rich tapestry of local traditions and beliefs surrounding sainthood, adding to the diverse religious landscape of the era. Seeking the intercession of a saint was a deeply personal act, often motivated by a specific need or crisis. The process often began with fervent prayer, supplicating the saint for help in times of trouble, illness, or despair. Prayers were not simply recited. They were heartfelt pleas, imbued with deep emotion and unwavering faith. Individuals would often make promises or offerings in return for the saint's assistance, creating a reciprocal relationship between the supplicant and the divine intermediary. The rituals associated with seeking a saint's intercession were varied and reflected the rich diversity of medieval religious practices. Many involved visiting shrines dedicated to particular saints, offering prayers and gifts at the saint's altar. Pilgrimages to the sites where saints were believed to have lived or been buried were common, with journeys often undertaken with great hardship and sacrifice, demonstrating the intensity of belief. The power of a saint's intercession was often attributed to relics, physical objects associated with the saint, such as bones, clothing, or personal belongings. These relics were believed to possess miraculous healing powers, and pilgrims would often touch or venerate them in the hope of receiving divine favor. The acquisition and display of relics became a source of prestige for religious institutions, leading to competition and even conflict among monasteries and churches. The belief in the power of saints' intercession permeated all aspects of medieval life. It offered solace in times of hardship, hope in the face of adversity, and a sense of connection to the divine. The saints were not distant figures. They were seen as powerful advocates, constantly interceding on behalf of the faithful, their prayers echoing in the celestial realms. The stories surrounding the intercession of saints were numerous and often recounted in vivid detail, illustrating the perceived power of these celestial advocates. Narratives of miraculous healings, divine interventions, and answered prayers circulated widely, reinforcing belief in the efficacy of seeking the saint's aid. These stories were not just entertaining anecdotes. They were powerful affirmations of faith, demonstrating the tangible impact of the saint's intercession on the lives of ordinary people. Consider, for a moment, the weight of this faith, the unshakable belief in the tangible power of a departed soul to intervene in the affairs of the living. It's a testament to the depth of medieval religious devotion, a belief system that integrated the spiritual and the physical in profound ways. The saints were not mere symbols. They were active participants in the lives of the faithful, their influence felt in every aspect of daily life. As we consider this aspect of medieval faith, let us remember that it was not simply a matter of blind belief. The belief in the saints' intercession was deeply embedded in the culture and social fabric of medieval society, providing a framework for understanding life's uncertainties and finding solace in times of trouble. It was a comforting belief system, a source of strength and hope in a world that often seemed unpredictable and harsh. Let the image of these fervent prayers, these heartfelt pleas, and these unwavering beliefs drift through your mind, easing you into a state of peaceful slumber. Allow the quiet strength of faith to calm your thoughts, and drift off to sleep, comforted by the thought of the saints watching over you. Sleep now, and may your dreams be filled with the gentle whispers of divine intercession. Now, let us gently turn our attention to a concept that held immense significance in the medieval religious imagination: purgatory. Picture a liminal space, neither heaven nor hell, a place of purification and cleansing. This was purgatory, a realm of spiritual refinement where souls, not quite ready for the celestial embrace of heaven, underwent a process of atonement and preparation for eternal life. Unlike the fiery torments of hell or the blissful serenity of heaven, purgatory occupied a middle ground, a space of transition and transformation. It wasn't a place of eternal damnation, but rather a temporary state, a period of spiritual cleansing that would ultimately lead to salvation. The length of time spent in purgatory varied according to the severity of one's earthly sins and the degree of repentance shown. The concept of purgatory, while not explicitly detailed in the Bible, was rooted in early Christian theology and gradually developed in the Middle Ages. Early church fathers hinted at a state of purification after death, but it was during the medieval period that the doctrine of purgatory became fully elaborated and integrated into mainstream theological understanding. This development is profoundly linked to the growing emphasis on penance and the desire for spiritual assurance in the face of death. Medieval theologians meticulously defined the nature of purgatory, describing it as a state of suffering, albeit a temporary one, designed to expiate the temporal consequences of sin. The suffering experienced in purgatory was not seen as an act of divine vengeance, but rather as a necessary process of purification, a refining fire that purged the soul of its earthly imperfections. It wasn't a place of eternal torment, but a space of transformative suffering, a spiritual crucible where souls were cleansed and prepared for union with God. The belief in purgatory profoundly shaped medieval religious practice. The focus on personal holiness and the pursuit of spiritual perfection intensified as individuals sought to minimize the time they might spend in this intermediate state. Practices like prayer, almsgiving, and acts of piety were not merely acts of religious devotion. They were seen as investments in one's spiritual future, aimed at reducing the duration and intensity of their time in purgatory. The rituals associated with purgatory were diverse and deeply entrenched in the religious culture of the Middle Ages. The Requiem Mass, a service for the dead, was particularly significant, with its prayers and hymns intended to alleviate the suffering of souls in purgatory. The practice of offering prayers for the souls of the departed became widespread, with individuals and religious communities dedicating time and resources to this important act of spiritual charity. Furthermore, the concept of indulgences emerged during the medieval period as a means of reducing time spent in purgatory. Indulgences were granted by the Church in exchange for acts of piety, such as pilgrimages, donations, or participation in religious ceremonies. While the practice of indulgences later became a source of controversy, during the medieval period, they were widely accepted as a legitimate means of alleviating the suffering of souls in purgatory. The imagery associated with purgatory was often vivid and powerful, reflecting the anxieties and hopes of the medieval mind. Artistic representations depicted purgatory as a place of fire and torment, but also as a space of spiritual transformation, where souls were gradually purified and prepared for their ultimate destination. These images served as powerful reminders of the importance of living a virtuous life and seeking spiritual perfection. The belief in purgatory offered a measure of comfort in the face of death. It provided a framework for understanding the afterlife, offering hope for the eventual salvation of even those who had committed sins during their earthly lives. It was a belief that emphasized the transformative power of repentance and the possibility of spiritual renewal, even beyond the confines of earthly existence. As we reflect upon the medieval understanding of purgatory, let's appreciate the profound impact this belief had on the religious landscape of the era. It shaped individual piety, influenced religious practices, and fueled artistic expression, leaving an enduring legacy in the history of Christian thought. The belief was a potent force, shaping attitudes towards death, penance, and enduring hope for salvation. The concept of purgatory, then, was more than just a theological doctrine. It was a powerful lens through which medieval people viewed life, death, and the journey towards eternal life. It provided a framework for understanding the complexities of human morality and the possibility of spiritual redemption, even beyond the grave. Allow the image of this gentle, transformative purgatory to soothe your mind as you drift off to sleep. Rest peacefully. Now, let us gently delve into a realm of theological uncertainty that haunted the medieval mind: limbo. Imagine a space neither heavenly nor hellish, a place of neither reward nor punishment, existing outside the conventional framework of salvation and damnation. This was limbo, a concept that profoundly shaped medieval anxieties surrounding the fate of unbaptized infants. The concept of limbo, unlike purgatory, lacked the clear scriptural foundation of established doctrine. It emerged from theological debates and interpretations, grappling with the seemingly paradoxical fate of infants who died without receiving the sacrament of baptism. While not explicitly defined in Scripture, the idea of limbo offered a theologically palatable explanation for the ambiguous fate of these innocent souls. Medieval theologians grappled with the question of whether unbaptized infants possessed original sin, inherited from Adam and Eve. If they did, their fate was seemingly sealed, exclusion from the divine grace necessary for salvation. However, the inherent innocence of these infants presented a moral and theological challenge, sparking intense debate among church scholars and thinkers. The concept of limbo emerged as a compromise, a theological attempt to reconcile the doctrine of original sin with the apparent innocence of unbaptized infants. Limbo was envisioned as a state of natural happiness, devoid of the pains of hell, but also separated from the beatific vision of heaven. It was a space of neither reward nor punishment, a place where unbaptized infants existed in a state of natural but incomplete blessedness. This theological construct, however, did little to alleviate the anxieties of medieval parents. The fear of losing an unbaptized child to an undefined spiritual state created immense emotional distress, fueling a fervent urgency to ensure that every infant received the sacrament of baptism as quickly as possible. The urgency surrounding infant baptism was not merely a matter of religious ritual. It was a deeply personal concern, reflecting the profound anxieties surrounding the fate of one's own child. The imagery associated with limbo varied, reflecting the diverse interpretations and theological debates surrounding the concept. Some envisioned it as a peaceful, albeit incomplete, existence, while others depicted it as a state of longing and incompleteness, a place where unbaptized infants yearn for the fullness of divine grace. These images, though often unspoken, permeated the cultural landscape, shaping the anxieties and spiritual practices of medieval families. The anxiety surrounding limbo was not confined to the theological sphere. It deeply impacted the lived experiences of medieval families. The swift administration of infant baptism became a paramount concern, often performed immediately after birth, reflecting the intense desire to secure the child's spiritual well-being. This urgency, driven by the fear of limbo, shaped the social and religious practices surrounding childbirth and infant care. The emotional toll of losing a child, especially an unbaptized one, was profoundly amplified by the uncertainty surrounding limbo. The concept offered a theological explanation, but it did little to diminish the grief and anguish of parents who mourned the loss of their child and the uncertainty of their spiritual destiny. This profound loss highlighted the limitations of theological constructs in addressing the complex emotions surrounding death and loss. Furthermore, the belief in limbo fostered a greater appreciation for the sacrament of baptism, underscoring its importance as a gateway to salvation. The fear of limbo served as a powerful motivator, encouraging parents and communities to prioritize the timely administration of this essential sacrament. The concept, therefore, played a significant role in shaping religious practices and reinforcing the central role of baptism in the Christian faith. The concept of limbo, while offering a theological solution to a complex problem, ultimately highlights the limitations of human attempts to fully comprehend the mysteries of divine judgment and the afterlife. It reveals the profound anxieties surrounding death, particularly the death of innocent infants, and the enduring human desire to secure the spiritual well-being of loved ones. As we contemplate the medieval understanding of limbo, let us acknowledge the theological complexities and the profound emotional impact it had on the lived experiences of people during that era. It was a concept born out of theological debate and parental anxieties, a testament to the enduring human struggle to reconcile faith, reason, and the profound mystery of death. Allow this quiet contemplation of limbo to settle your mind as you drift towards sleep. Sleep soundly. Now, let us descend gently and thoughtfully into the medieval conception of hell, not as a singular, amorphous abyss, but as a meticulously structured hierarchy of suffering, a reflection of the sins committed during earthly life. Imagine, if you will, a landscape of torment meticulously crafted to mirror the transgressions of humanity. Medieval depictions of hell weren't mere simplistic representations of fire and brimstone. Instead, they painted a complex picture of a multi-tiered structure, each level reserved for specific sins and tailored to inflict a fitting punishment. This intricate design wasn't born of cruelty, but rather a theological framework aiming to demonstrate divine justice and the consequences of earthly actions. The most commonly depicted levels often reflected the 7 deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, and lust, each receiving its unique form of torment. Pride, for example, might be punished by a humiliating descent into the deepest pits of hell, a constant reminder of the fallen nature of arrogance. Envy, conversely, could manifest as an eternal state of deprivation, watching others revel in joys forever beyond one's reach. Wrath, the fiery passion of anger, could be visualized as a burning lake of torment, a ceaseless reflection of the internal inferno that consumed the soul during life. Sloth, the sin of inaction and spiritual apathy, might be manifested as a state of unending toil, a ceaseless and fruitless labor under the weight of divine judgment. Greed, the insatiable desire for material wealth, could be embodied in a realm of unending hunger and deprivation, a constant gnawing emptiness that echoed the soul's insatiable avarice. Gluttony, the excessive indulgence in earthly pleasures, might be depicted as a sea of filth and decay, a constant reminder of the physical corruption that accompanies unrestrained indulgence. Finally, lust, the unchecked pursuit of carnal desires, could be imagined as a landscape of torment and frustration, a world of unfulfilled longings and unrelenting desire, a stark contrast to the peace and contentment of a virtuous life. Each level, then, was a carefully constructed space of torment, designed to reflect the specific sin and inflict a fitting punishment. Beyond the 7 deadly sins, other transgressions also had their designated levels in this hierarchical hell. Heresy, the rejection of established religious doctrine, could be punished by a spiritual isolation, a separation from the divine grace and the fellowship of the faithful. Blasphemy, the utterance of sacrilegious words against God, might be met with a torment of unceasing noise and cacophony, reflecting the spiritual dissonance caused by such acts. The details of these punishments varied across different medieval depictions, reflecting the diverse theological interpretations and artistic representations of the time. Some accounts emphasized physical torment, such as burning, freezing, or mutilation, while others focused on the psychological and spiritual suffering inflicted by isolation, deprivation, or the constant presence of one's own guilt. But the imagery, however varied, always served a didactic purpose. The depictions of hell weren't simply meant to scare. They aimed to teach. They served as a stark reminder of the consequences of sin and the importance of living a virtuous life. The intricate structure of hell, with its different levels of punishment, underscored the divine justice and the personalized nature of judgment. The medieval understanding of hell's structure, therefore, wasn't simply a grim fantasy. It was a complex theological system that shaped religious beliefs and moral practices. The fear of hell's various torments wasn't just a matter of superstition. It was a driving force behind pious acts of devotion, charity, and repentance. It fueled the pursuit of spiritual perfection and a desire to avoid the eternal consequences of sin. And as you drift off to sleep, allow the imagery of this meticulously organized afterlife to gently fade into the quiet darkness of your dreams. Let the thought of this structured justice, however harsh it may seem, provide a sense of order and calm as you surrender to slumber. Rest peacefully. Now, let us turn our attention to a central sacrament of medieval Christianity, the Eucharist, a ritual steeped in profound theological meaning and imbued with extraordinary spiritual power. Imagine, if you will, a hushed cathedral, candles flickering softly, the scent of incense hanging heavy in the air. This was the setting for one of the most sacred acts of the medieval faith. The Eucharist, the act of receiving the bread and wine, consecrated by a priest, was far more than a symbolic gesture. It was believed, quite literally, to be the body and blood of Christ, a physical manifestation of the divine presence on earth. This belief, known as transubstantiation, formed the cornerstone of medieval understanding of the sacrament. Transubstantiation, a complex theological concept, posited that during the consecration, the bread and wine were not merely represented by the body and blood of Christ, but were actually transformed into them, their substance entirely altered. The outward appearance remained the same, bread and wine, but the underlying essence was utterly changed, becoming the very flesh and blood of the divine Savior. This wasn't a matter of mere symbolism. It was a profound and tangible transformation, a miraculous act of divine power enacted through the agency of the priest. Medieval Christians believed that by receiving the consecrated elements, they were partaking directly in the very essence of Christ, receiving spiritual nourishment and grace. The implications of this belief were far-reaching. The Eucharist was seen not just as a ritualistic act, but as a mystical encounter with the divine, a source of spiritual strength and grace. It was the centerpiece of Christian worship, a sacred act that united the community of believers and fostered a sense of communion with Christ and with one another. Medieval theologians spent considerable time and effort debating the intricacies of transubstantiation, examining the precise nature of the transformation, the role of the priest, and the spiritual effects on the recipient. The concept was central to theological discourse, fueling countless sermons, writings, and artistic representations. The Eucharist also played a crucial role in everyday medieval life. It wasn't just something received in grand cathedrals. It was a regular part of the religious calendar, a central feature of daily life for most Christians. Receiving communion was a powerful act of faith, a physical expression of devotion, and a source of spiritual comfort. Beyond its spiritual significance, the Eucharist was also viewed as a source of miraculous healing and protection. It was believed to possess inherent curative powers, capable of alleviating physical ailments and warding off spiritual dangers. The consecrated elements, imbued with the divine essence, were seen as possessing a sacred energy capable of affecting both the physical and spiritual realms. Therefore, the reception of the Eucharist wasn't simply a matter of pious obligation. It was a sought-after means of receiving divine grace, a tangible connection to the divine, and a source of hope and comfort in a world often marked by hardship and uncertainty. It was a sacrament that permeated every level of medieval society, shaping individual piety, influencing social structures, and underpinning the very fabric of medieval religious life. The awe and reverence surrounding the Eucharist reflected the deep-seated belief in the real presence of Christ within the consecrated elements. It wasn't just a symbolic act. It was a deeply personal and profoundly spiritual experience. It was a moment of intimate communion with the divine, a powerful expression of faith, and a source of strength and hope in the face of life's uncertainties. So, as the gentle rhythm of my voice guides you towards sleep, let the image of softly lit cathedral, the scent of incense, and the quiet reverence of the Eucharist fill your mind. Allow the profound mystery of transubstantiation to gently ease your worries, and let the thought of this sacred communion bring a sense of peace and tranquility as you drift into slumber. Rest now, and let the sacred stillness envelop you. Now, let us drift into the celestial realms, where a cosmic drama unfolded, unseen yet profoundly influential on medieval lives. Imagine a vast, star-studded expanse, a battleground not of flesh and steel, but of spiritual forces, a ceaseless conflict between the radiant hosts of heaven and the shadowy legions of hell. This was the medieval understanding of the world beyond our earthly sphere, a constant, unseen war shaping human destinies. Medieval Christianity envisioned a universe teeming with angelic beings, celestial warriors serving God's will. These weren't simply abstract concepts. They were powerful, individualized entities, each with their own rank, responsibilities, and roles in the divine plan. From the majestic archangels, like Michael, the champion of God, to the countless lesser angels, all were active participants in the unfolding narrative of creation and salvation. These angelic beings were not passive observers. They were active agents in human affairs, intervening in earthly events, offering guidance to the righteous, and battling the forces of darkness. Their presence was felt, even if unseen, in moments of inspiration, in acts of divine intervention, and in the protection afforded to the faithful. They were, in essence, the vanguard of God's army, constantly vigilant against the encroaching shadows. Opposing the angelic hosts were the demons, the fallen angels, the emissaries of evil. These were not merely personifications of sin. They were active, malevolent entities, constantly seeking to tempt, deceive, and corrupt humanity. Their influence was subtle and pervasive, weaving its way into the fabric of daily life, whispering temptations into hearts, and sowing discord amongst men. The medieval imagination vividly depicted these demonic beings, often as grotesque and terrifying figures, their forms reflecting the nature of their wickedness. They were seen as the architects of temptation, the instigators of sin, and the agents of divine punishment. Their power, while ultimately subordinate to God's, was still feared, for they possessed the ability to inflict suffering, sow chaos, and lead souls astray. The constant struggle between these celestial forces was not confined to the heavenly realms. It played out on earth, in the lives of ordinary people. Every temptation, every sin, every act of wickedness was viewed as a manifestation of demonic influence, a battle fought on the very soul of humanity. Conversely, every act of piety, every virtuous deed, was seen as a victory against the forces of darkness, a testament to the power of God's grace. This cosmic conflict infused medieval religious life with a sense of urgency and intensity. It was not just a matter of personal piety. It was a battle for the very fate of humanity, a struggle between light and darkness played out on a grand, cosmic scale. The stakes were impossibly high, the consequences eternal. The constant awareness of this spiritual warfare shaped medieval attitudes towards sin, virtue, and salvation. It fueled the intense piety of many, while simultaneously fostering a deep-seated fear of demonic influence. This fear, though sometimes irrational, was a powerful motivator, leading to acts of devotion, acts of penance, and a fervent commitment to resisting the powers of evil. Therefore, as you settle into a restful slumber, allow the image of this celestial battle to fade gently into the background of your consciousness. Let the notion of a constant, unseen struggle between good and evil serve as a reminder of the eternal conflict, even as you find peace and tranquility in the quiet embrace of sleep. May the angels guard your rest, and may the darkness hold no sway over your dreams. Sleep soundly now, and let the cosmic drama unfold peacefully within the depths of your subconscious. Now, let us descend from the celestial battlefields to the more earthly realm of human experience, where the unseen war manifested in a particularly dramatic and unsettling way: demonic possession. In the medieval world, the line between the physical and spiritual was often blurred, and illness, both mental and physical, could be readily attributed to supernatural causes. This belief fostered a climate of fear and fascination surrounding demonic possession, a phenomenon that held profound social and personal implications. Imagine a village gripped by unease. A member of the community, perhaps a woman, perhaps a child, exhibits strange behaviors, uncontrollable fits, speaking in unknown tongues, displaying superhuman strength, or uttering blasphemous words. These were not simply signs of illness. They were interpreted as evidence of demonic possession, a horrifying invasion of the body and soul by malevolent forces. Fear, suspicion, and even accusations would quickly spread, casting a long shadow over the community. The afflicted individual, often viewed as a battleground between good and evil, became the focus of intense attention. Their suffering was not merely physical. It was a spiritual crisis, a struggle for the very soul of the person. The community, often caught between fear and compassion, watched as the possessed individual was transformed, their identity seemingly consumed by the dark entity within. The response to such events was often rooted in religious belief. Exorcism, the ritualistic expulsion of demons, emerged as a central practice. These were not simple ceremonies. They were often lengthy, arduous ordeals, involving prayer, chanting, religious symbols, and sometimes even physical restraint. The exorcist, typically a priest, would engage in a spiritual battle with the possessing entity, attempting to cast it out through the power of faith and divine intervention. Exorcisms were dramatic events, often drawing large crowds. The afflicted individual's cries, contortions, and pronouncements added to the atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. The success or failure of an exorcism could significantly impact the community's perception of the church's authority and the effectiveness of its spiritual weapons. A successful exorcism would be celebrated as a triumph of faith, while a failure could deepen existing anxieties and fuel further suspicion and fear. The social implications of accusations of demonic possession were far-reaching. In a society deeply rooted in religious belief, such accusations could ruin reputations and shatter lives. Families might be ostracized, friendships broken, and social standing irrevocably damaged. The accused, even if ultimately exonerated, would often bear the stigma of suspicion, forever marked by the accusations that had been leveled against them. Furthermore, accusations of demonic possession could be used as a tool for social control or personal vendettas. Individuals with unpopular opinions, those who challenge social norms, or those who simply fell out of favor with others, might find themselves targeted by such accusations. The power of the church, combined with the pervasive fear of demonic influence, created a potent weapon that could be wielded with devastating consequences. However, it is important to remember that not all instances of what were perceived as demonic possession were necessarily cases of deliberate deception or malicious intent. Many individuals suffering from mental illnesses, neurological disorders, or other conditions that were poorly understood at the time might have been misdiagnosed as demonically possessed. The lack of scientific understanding and the pervasive religious worldview of the Middle Ages led to interpretations that we, with our modern medical perspectives, would view very differently. As we gently drift towards the conclusion of this section, consider the complexities of medieval belief surrounding demonic possession. It was a potent blend of religious faith, social anxieties, and a limited understanding of the human condition. The practice of exorcism, while often viewed through a modern lens of skepticism, was a genuine reflection of the beliefs and fears that shaped medieval life. The stories of demonic possession serve as a reminder of the profound influence of religious belief on the human experience and the often blurred line between the physical and the spiritual in the medieval world. Let this thought settle softly as you slip into a peaceful slumber. Now, let us turn our attention to a phenomenon that casts a long and chilling shadow over the medieval period: the accusations and trials of witchcraft. These events, deeply intertwined with religious belief, social anxieties, and political maneuvering, paint a complex picture of medieval society, one marked by fear, superstition, and often profound injustice. Picture a small village nestled amidst rolling hills, where life revolves around the rhythms of the seasons and the unwavering faith in the church. Suddenly, a series of misfortunes befall the community: a failed harvest, the death of livestock, or mysterious illness. In the absence of scientific understanding, these events are often attributed to supernatural causes, and suspicion falls upon individuals perceived as outsiders or those who deviate from societal norms. These individuals, often women, widows, midwives, herbalists, or those simply deemed unconventional, become prime targets for accusations of witchcraft. The accusation itself could stem from a variety of factors: personal grievances, social tensions, or the desire to scapegoat someone for the community's misfortunes. Once an accusation was made, it could quickly spiral into a devastating chain of events. The accused would often face intense pressure to confess, sometimes through torture or prolonged imprisonment. Confessions, even false ones extracted under duress, were frequently accepted as evidence of guilt. The trials themselves were often far from impartial. The Church, holding significant power and authority, played a central role in these proceedings, often influenced by local politics and social dynamics. The imagery associated with witchcraft accusations further underscores the anxieties of the era. The accused were often portrayed as consorting with the devil, engaging in nocturnal gatherings known as sabbats, and possessing supernatural powers to harm others. These beliefs were deeply rooted in folklore and superstition, shaping the public perception of witchcraft and fueling the fear and suspicion surrounding it. Yet, amidst the darkness of these trials, we can glimpse hints of the complex social and economic realities of the time. Accusations of witchcraft often targeted women who held positions of power or independence, or those who challenged the established social order. These accusations served not only to punish individuals, but also to reinforce patriarchal structures and maintain social control. The trials were, in many ways, a reflection of deeper societal anxieties and power dynamics. The narrative of witchcraft trials is not simply one of religious fanaticism, but also of the fear of the unknown and the fragility of human existence. The belief in witchcraft provided a framework for understanding events that were otherwise inexplicable, offering a sense of order and control in a world marked by uncertainty and hardship. The trials themselves, while undeniably unjust, reveal the profound impact of religious belief on the shaping of social norms and the enforcement of power structures. As we gently move towards the conclusion of this section, consider the lasting legacy of witchcraft accusations and trials. They serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked authority, the fragility of justice, and the enduring power of superstition and fear. The stories of those accused, often marginalized and vulnerable individuals, resonate through the centuries, prompting reflection on the complexities of the human experience and the importance of critical examination of historical narratives. Let these thoughts drift gently through your mind as you settle into a peaceful sleep. Now, let us drift into a world where the heavens themselves spoke, where the sun, moon, and stars were not merely celestial bodies, but active participants in the divine drama unfolding on Earth. In the Middle Ages, extreme weather events, storms, floods, droughts, and famines, were not seen as mere natural occurrences, but as potent manifestations of God's wrath, a direct consequence of humanity's sins. Imagine a world without the scientific understanding of meteorology. A sudden deluge, a scorching drought, or a devastating hailstorm would have been utterly terrifying, inexplicable events that shook the very foundations of daily life. In this context, it was natural to seek an explanation beyond the realm of the natural, to find a divine hand at work in the unfolding meteorological chaos. The Church, with its profound influence on medieval society, played a crucial role in shaping this understanding. Sermons in religious texts frequently linked extreme weather events to moral failings, emphasizing the divine judgment that fell upon communities that strayed from God's path. These pronouncements fostered a climate of fear and piety, urging individuals to examine their consciences and seek atonement for their transgressions. The connection between sin and weather was far from abstract. Specific sins were often linked to particular meteorological events. For example, a devastating flood might be seen as punishment for sexual immorality, while a prolonged drought could signify God's displeasure with greed or avarice. This interpretation was deeply ingrained in the cultural consciousness, shaping not only religious beliefs, but also social behavior and community responses to natural disasters. Public penance and acts of contrition became common responses to extreme weather. Communities would organize processions, fasts, and prayers, seeking divine forgiveness and a return to favorable weather conditions. These rituals were not merely symbolic gestures, but tangible expressions of faith in a desperate attempt to appease a seemingly wrathful God. Furthermore, the interpretation of weather events was often intertwined with political and social dynamics. A ruler facing unrest or rebellion might interpret a natural disaster as a sign of divine displeasure, prompting them to examine their own actions and to seek reconciliation with their subjects. Conversely, rulers might use extreme weather as a tool to reinforce their authority, portraying themselves as intermediaries between God and the people. The belief in God's meteorological wrath also fueled a fervent piety and a preoccupation with sin. Individuals were constantly reminded of their mortality and the potential consequences of their actions. This awareness shaped their lives, influencing their moral choices, their relationships with their communities, and their overall outlook on the world. As we gently reflect on this aspect of medieval religious belief, consider the profound impact it had on the medieval worldview. The fear of divine punishment, manifested through the unpredictable forces of nature, served as a powerful motivator for adherence to religious doctrines and social norms. The belief in God's meteorological wrath was not simply a religious tenet, but a deeply ingrained cultural perspective that shaped the lives of individuals and communities alike. Let this image of a world intimately connected to the divine will slowly fade into your consciousness as you drift off to sleep. Let us now journey to a realm where the boundaries between the human and animal worlds blurred, where the familiar sounds of the barnyard were occasionally punctuated by the unexpected, the sounds of animals speaking. In the medieval imagination, the ability of animals to communicate in human language wasn't merely a fantastical notion. It held profound religious significance, often interpreted as either a divine blessing or a demonic omen. The bestiaries, popular medieval texts describing various animals, often included accounts of animal speaking, their words imbued with symbolic meaning. These narratives weren't simply meant to entertain. They served as allegorical representations of moral and spiritual truths. A talking animal might warn of impending danger, offer divine guidance, or reveal hidden truths about human nature. The interpretation of these animal utterances depended heavily on the context and the perceived intentions of the speaker. For instance, a talking serpent might be interpreted as a manifestation of evil, echoing the biblical story of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Its words, therefore, would be viewed with suspicion, interpreted as deception or temptation. Conversely, a talking bird might be associated with divine messengers, conveying messages from God or saints. Its words in this context would be considered sacred, imbued with divine authority. The medieval understanding of animal speech was often intertwined with the belief in the interconnectedness of the natural and supernatural worlds. Animals were not merely creatures of flesh and blood, but were seen as possessing a unique spiritual dimension. Their ability to communicate in human language was viewed as a manifestation of this inherent spirituality, a testament to the divine power that permeated all of creation. However, the interpretation of talking animals wasn't always straightforward. Ambiguity played a crucial role, creating a sense of mystery and awe. A seemingly benevolent animal might reveal a dark secret, while a menacing creature might unexpectedly utter words of wisdom. This ambiguity reflected the complexities of the medieval worldview, where good and evil were often intertwined, and the boundaries between the natural and supernatural worlds were constantly shifting. The accounts of talking animals were not merely confined to the realm of religious texts. Folklore and oral traditions also played a vital role in shaping the perception of animal speech. Stories of talking animals were passed down through generations, adding layers of cultural significance to these narratives. These stories often served as cautionary tales, emphasizing the importance of respecting the natural world and recognizing the potential for both good and evil to manifest in unexpected ways. As we delve deeper into the medieval mindset, consider the implications of this belief in animal speech. It fostered a sense of wonder and mystery, a recognition that the world held secrets beyond human comprehension. It also highlighted the inherent ambiguity of the natural world, where the seemingly ordinary could reveal extraordinary truths. This worldview, in turn, shaped religious practices, ethical considerations, and the overall cultural understanding of the relationship between humanity and the natural world. The image of a talking animal, therefore, becomes more than just a whimsical notion. It represents a fascinating intersection of religious belief, folklore, and the medieval perception of the natural world. It reminds us that the boundaries between the human and animal kingdoms were far more fluid in the medieval imagination than they are in our own. Let this image, rich in historical and spiritual significance, lull you into a peaceful slumber. Now, let us turn our attention to the shimmering tapestry of faith woven with threads of miracle and apparition, a common thread running through the medieval world. These events, often documented in meticulous detail, held immense power, shaping individual beliefs and societal structures alike. Miraculous healings, attributed to divine intervention or the intercession of saints, were not merely isolated incidents, but pivotal moments in the lives of individuals and communities. Imagine a hushed chapel, filled with the scent of incense and the soft glow of candlelight. A sufferer, afflicted by a debilitating illness, lies before a revered relic or statue. Prayers rise, fervent and heartfelt, a chorus of hope amidst despair. Then, a sudden shift, a palpable sense of warmth, a surge of energy, a feeling of profound peace. The pain recedes, strength returns, and the afflicted individual rises, restored to health. This was the narrative at the heart of many miraculous healings. These accounts, often meticulously recorded by monks and chroniclers, detail not only the physical restoration, but also the profound spiritual transformation that accompanied these healings. Faith, it seemed, had a tangible power, capable of mending not only broken bodies, but also fractured spirits. These narratives served as powerful testaments to the efficacy of prayer, the power of faith, and the unwavering presence of the divine. The impact of these miraculous healings extended far beyond the individual experience. They served to strengthen communal faith, bolstering the authority of the Church and reinforcing the belief in divine intervention in the everyday lives of believers. News of such healings spread rapidly, attracting pilgrims and reinforcing the reputation of holy sites and revered saints. But the miraculous wasn't confined to physical healing. Apparitions, visions of saints, angels, or even the divine played a significant role in shaping the medieval religious landscape. These visions, often described as intensely personal and deeply moving experiences, were interpreted as messages from the divine, offering guidance, warnings, or even revelations. Envision a solitary figure, perhaps a devout monk or a humble peasant, kneeling in prayer. Suddenly, a radiant light fills the space, and a celestial figure appears, their presence both awe-inspiring and comforting. The apparition delivers a message, a prophecy, or a divine mandate, profoundly altering the life and beliefs of the visionary, and often inspiring widespread religious fervor. Such accounts fueled religious devotion and inspired acts of piety and charity. Many apparitions were associated with specific locations, transforming these sites into pilgrimage destinations. The stories surrounding these apparitions became intertwined with the history and identity of the communities that inhabited these places, shaping their cultural landscape and reinforcing their religious significance. These miraculous healings and apparitions, whether documented meticulously or recounted through oral tradition, played a pivotal role in shaping medieval religious life. They were not merely isolated events, but powerful forces that reinforced faith, strengthened community bonds, and inspired acts of piety. They remind us of a time when the line between the natural and the supernatural was blurred, where the divine could manifest in the most unexpected of ways, subtly shaping the medieval world. As we conclude this exploration, let the echoes of these miraculous events gently lull you into a peaceful slumber. The whispers of faith, the quiet strength of healing, and the luminous glow of apparitions will accompany you into the realm of dreams. May your sleep be as tranquil and restorative as the peace found in these medieval miracles. Now, let us delve into the realm of dreams and visions, those enigmatic nocturnal journeys and waking revelations that held profound significance in the medieval world. For many, dreams were not simply fleeting images of the subconscious, but rather messages from a higher power, divinely ordained glimpses into the future, or cryptic pronouncements from saints and angels. These nocturnal narratives, woven with threads of symbolism and allegory, were meticulously interpreted, their meanings carefully dissected to unlock the divine intent. Imagine a dimly lit chamber, the air thick with the scent of beeswax and herbs. A figure lies asleep, their breaths slow and even, their mind adrift in a world of fantastical imagery. In this dreamscape, symbols unfold, a serpent a ladder, a radiant light, each imbued with profound religious meaning. Upon waking, the dreamer recalls these vivid scenes, their mind grappling with the cryptic messages embedded within the dream's narrative. The interpretation of these dreams was not a casual undertaking. It was a complex process requiring careful consideration of the dream's symbolism, the dreamer's personal circumstances, and the prevailing religious beliefs of the time. Often, individuals sought the guidance of learned clerics or experienced dream interpreters, individuals skilled in unraveling the intricate symbolism inherent in these nocturnal voyages. These dream interpreters, often monks or scholars well-versed in biblical and theological texts, would meticulously analyze the dream's imagery, searching for hidden meanings and connections to religious narratives. They would consider the dream's emotional tone, its recurring symbols, and the dreamer's personal life, seeking to connect the dream's narrative to a larger divine plan. The interpretations were often deeply personal, reflecting the unique relationship between the dreamer and the divine. For some, the dreams served as confirmations of faith, bolstering their devotion and strengthening their spiritual resolve. For others, they offered guidance, illuminating the path forward or warning of potential dangers. Yet, for others still, the dream's message was a divine mandate, a call to action that profoundly altered the course of their lives. Visions, those waking revelations that appeared as vivid and tangible as dreams, played a similarly significant role in medieval religious life. These visions, often described as intensely real and deeply moving experiences, were frequently interpreted as divine messages, offering guidance, comfort, or warnings. Picture a solitary figure, lost in contemplation, when a radiant light suddenly fills their vision. A celestial being appears, their presence both awe-inspiring and comforting, delivering a message of profound significance. These visions, often profoundly personal and deeply affecting, held immense weight, shaping the spiritual life of the visionary and influencing the lives of those around them. The impact of dreams and visions extended beyond the individual experience. They served to reinforce religious beliefs, strengthen communal faith, and validate the power of the divine. The accounts of these experiences, often meticulously recorded and circulated, bolstered the authority of the Church and reinforced the belief in divine intervention in everyday life. As we conclude our exploration of dreams and visions in the medieval world, let their enigmatic symbolism and potent messages gently guide you towards peaceful slumber. May the gentle rhythm of these narratives soothe your mind, and the celestial imagery lull you into a dream-filled sleep, where the boundaries between waking and sleeping worlds subtly intertwine. May your dreams be as peaceful and meaningful as those experienced in the medieval world, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the mysterious world of the subconscious. Now, let us journey into the heart of medieval life, where the presence of saints was not confined to stained glass windows and illuminated manuscripts, but permeated the very fabric of daily existence. Saints were not merely historical figures. They were living presences, ever-watchful guardians and intercessors, their influence extending into every aspect of medieval society. Picture a bustling medieval marketplace, its cobblestone streets alive with the sounds of bartering and laughter. Amidst the throngs of people, you might notice small, almost hidden shrines dedicated to various saints. Saint Jude for hopeless causes, Saint Anthony for lost objects, Saint Christopher for safe travels. These were not grand cathedrals, but humble reminders of the ever-present spiritual world, a testament to the intimate relationship between the divine and the daily lives of ordinary people. Each individual, from the humblest peasant to the wealthiest noble, had their chosen patron saint, a celestial protector whose life and miracles provided solace and inspiration. This personal connection transcended mere religious observance. It was a deeply ingrained part of their identity, a source of comfort and strength in a world fraught with uncertainty and hardship. The selection of a patron saint was often deeply personal, influenced by family tradition, professional associations, or a profound connection to a particular saint's life story. For instance, a blacksmith might choose Saint Eligius, the patron saint of metalworkers, while a sailor might invoke Saint Nicholas, the protector of seafarers. This deeply personal connection fostered a sense of belonging and community, binding individuals together through shared faith and devotion. Beyond personal patronage, saints played a crucial role in everyday life through the practice of invoking their aid in specific situations. In moments of crisis, illness, or misfortune, individuals would turn to their chosen saint, praying for their intercession and divine intervention. This practice was not simply a formal ritual. It was an expression of profound faith, a deeply personal plea for help in times of need. Imagine a medieval village gripped by a devastating illness. The villagers, their hearts heavy with fear and uncertainty, would gather in their local church, their prayers rising to heaven, invoking the aid of Saint Roch, the patron saint of plague victims. Their prayers weren't merely pleas for healing. They were expressions of unwavering faith, a testament to their trust in the power of divine intervention. The influence of saints extended beyond personal devotion and crisis intervention. They served as moral guides, their lives often depicted in vivid detail in religious dramas and mystery plays. These performances weren't simply entertainment. They were powerful moral lessons, reinforcing the importance of faith, charity, and virtuous living. Through these narratives, the lives of saints became living examples, inspiring piety and encouraging emulation of virtuous behavior. Even the mundane aspects of daily life were touched by the presence of saints. Their names adorned everyday objects, from tools and household items to personal belongings. These weren't mere decorations. They were tangible reminders of the sacred presence in their lives, a subtle but constant reminder of the divine order that governed their existence. As we conclude our exploration of the role of saints in medieval daily life, let their enduring presence and unwavering protection gently lull you into a peaceful slumber. May the celestial light of their devotion guide your dreams, and their unwavering faith inspire your peaceful rest. May you feel the comforting presence of these holy intercessors, their protection surrounding you as you drift off into a tranquil night. Now, let us gently delve into the intricate tapestry of medieval society, where religious beliefs were not merely a matter of personal faith, but a powerful force shaping social structures, family dynamics, and community life. The Church, as the dominant institution, exerted a profound influence on all aspects of medieval existence, its doctrines and practices permeating every level of society. The rigid social hierarchy of the medieval period was inextricably linked to religious beliefs. The concept of the great chain of being, a divinely ordained order placing God at the apex and extending downwards through angels, the clergy, nobility, commoners, and finally, animals and inanimate objects, reinforced the existing social structure. Each individual's place in this hierarchy was seen as divinely ordained, reflecting their spiritual worth and societal role. This divinely sanctioned hierarchy influenced family structures as well. Patriarchal authority, often justified by religious teachings, placed the father at the head of the family, responsible for its spiritual and temporal well-being. Women, while holding significant roles within the domestic sphere, were largely subordinate to their fathers or husbands, their lives governed by religious expectations and societal norms. Marriage itself was viewed as a sacred union, sanctioned by the Church and aimed at procreation and the continuation of the family line. Divorce was rare, and marital fidelity was strictly enforced, reflecting the Church's emphasis on the sanctity of marriage. Community life was deeply intertwined with religious practices. The local parish church served as the center of community life, a place of worship, social gathering, and mutual support. Religious festivals and processions brought the community together, reinforcing social bonds and reaffirming shared beliefs. These communal activities were not simply religious observances. They were integral to the social fabric, fostering a sense of belonging and collective identity. The Church's influence extended to economic life as well. The tithe, a mandatory contribution of a tenth of one's income to the Church, served as a significant source of revenue, supporting religious institutions and influencing economic activities. Monasteries and convents played an important role in the medieval economy, often engaging in agriculture, crafts, and trade. Their economic activities had a profound impact on the local communities they served, fostering economic growth and providing employment opportunities. Even the legal system was influenced by religious beliefs. Canon law, a body of ecclesiastical law governing the Church and its members, dealt with matters of marriage, inheritance, and morality, influencing the secular legal system and shaping societal norms. The Church's power to excommunicate individuals or to impose penance served as a powerful tool, influencing behavior and enforcing moral standards. The concept of penance and confession, central to medieval religious life, played a significant role in shaping individual behavior and fostering social control. The act of confessing one's sins to a priest and receiving absolution provided a mechanism for moral accountability, encouraging individuals to conform to religious and societal expectations. Public displays of penance, such as wearing sackcloth or undergoing public flagellation, serve as a powerful deterrent against transgressions, reinforcing the Church's authority and societal norms. Religious beliefs also influenced the perception of illness and suffering. Disease was often interpreted as divine punishment for sin or as a test of faith, leading to a variety of responses ranging from fervent prayer and pilgrimage to extreme ascetic practices. The care of the sick was often undertaken by religious institutions, monasteries, and convents, providing a vital social service and demonstrating the Church's commitment to the well-being of its members. As we gently conclude our exploration of how religious beliefs shaped medieval social structures, family life, and community, we are reminded of the profound and pervasive influence of faith in shaping the lives of individuals and the societies they inhabited. This intricate interplay between faith and social order, between divine mandate and human experience, shaped the very essence of medieval life. May the echoes of this rich tapestry weave themselves into the peaceful fabric of your dreams, leading you to a serene and restful sleep. Drifting now into the shadowy corners of the medieval mind, we uncover a world steeped in the fear of the unknown, a world where the veil between the natural and the supernatural was thin, almost imperceptible. This pervasive fear, woven into the very fabric of daily life, profoundly shaped social interactions and individual beliefs. Let us gently explore this realm of anxieties and uncertainties, a world where the unseen held sway over the seen. Imagine, if you will, the hushed whispers of a moonless night, the rustling leaves interpreted as the stirrings of unseen entities, the shadows stretching long and menacing in the flickering candlelight. This was the reality for many in the Middle Ages, a reality where the line between the mundane and the mystical was blurred, where every unexplained event, every unforeseen occurrence, was attributed to supernatural forces. The fear of the unknown was not merely a personal apprehension. It was a shared societal anxiety. The unpredictable nature of the natural world, the susceptibility to disease and famine, and the constant threat of violence contributed to a deep-seated sense of insecurity and vulnerability. This vulnerability was further amplified by a lack of scientific understanding, leaving unexplained phenomena open to supernatural interpretations. The supernatural was not merely a source of fear, it was also a source of fascination. Tales of demons, spirits, and other supernatural beings were commonplace, woven into the fabric of everyday life through folklore, legends, and religious teachings. These tales, often passed down through generations, served to both entertain and warn, reinforcing the pervasive belief in the power of the supernatural. The fear of the supernatural manifested itself in various ways. The belief in witchcraft, for instance, led to widespread accusations and persecution, resulting in the tragic deaths of countless individuals, many of them women. Similarly, the fear of demonic possession led to elaborate exorcism rituals, often involving physical and psychological trauma for the afflicted. These practices, though born out of fear and misunderstanding, reflected the deeply rooted belief in the power of supernatural forces. Daily life was permeated by rituals and practices designed to ward off evil spirits and protect against supernatural harm. Amulets, charms, and protective symbols were widely used, providing a sense of security in a world perceived as inherently dangerous. Religious practices, such as prayer, fasting, and pilgrimage, were also employed as a means of seeking divine protection and appeasing supernatural forces. These practices, though often rooted in superstition, provided comfort and solace in a world fraught with uncertainty. Social interactions were also profoundly influenced by the fear of the supernatural. Accusations of witchcraft often shattered communities, leading to mistrust and suspicion. Similarly, the belief in demonic possession could lead to social ostracism, isolating individuals from their families and communities. These anxieties, fueled by fear and misunderstanding, had a devastating impact on social cohesion and individual well-being. Even the landscape itself was viewed with a sense of apprehension. Forests, mountains, and other natural features were often associated with supernatural beings and malevolent forces, fostering a sense of unease and caution. Travel was often perceived as hazardous, with travelers relying on prayers and protective charms to ensure safe passage. This cautious approach to the natural world reflects the pervasive fear of the unknown that permeated medieval life. The fear of the unknown and the supernatural was not merely a matter of individual belief. It was a shared societal experience. This fear, while often irrational from a modern perspective, was a deeply ingrained aspect of medieval life, shaping perceptions, behaviors, and social structures. The pervasive belief in the power of the supernatural played a significant role in shaping the medieval worldview, influencing attitudes toward nature, society, and the very essence of human existence. As we gently conclude this exploration of the medieval fear of the unknown and the supernatural, we find ourselves immersed in a world where the unseen held a powerful sway over the seen, where the line between reality and fantasy was blurred, and where the fear of the supernatural was woven into the very fabric of daily life. May the echoes of this mysterious world softly fade into the tranquility of your slumber, guiding you toward a peaceful and restful night. Now, let us gently turn our attention to a symbol so deeply ingrained in the medieval consciousness that it permeated every aspect of life: the cross. More than just a religious icon, the cross in the Middle Ages was a potent symbol, imbued with layers of meaning that extended far beyond its simple form. It was a constant reminder of faith, a source of comfort, and a powerful amulet against the forces of evil. Imagine, if you will, the countless crosses adorning the medieval landscape. From the grand cathedrals that pierced the heavens to the humble wayside shrines that dotted the countryside, the cross was a ubiquitous presence, a visual testament to the pervasiveness of Christian faith. Each cross, regardless of its size or intricacy, held a profound significance, silently whispering tales of sacrifice, redemption, and hope. The cross, of course, symbolized the crucifixion of Christ, the central event in Christian theology. It represented the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate act of love and redemption. For the medieval faithful, the cross was not merely a representation of a historical event. It was a living symbol, a tangible manifestation of God's love and mercy. It was a constant reminder of the divine sacrifice that made salvation possible. But the symbolism of the cross extended far beyond its theological significance. In the medieval world, the cross served as a powerful amulet, believed to ward off evil spirits and protect against harm. People wore crosses around their necks, carried them in their pockets, and affixed them to their homes and possessions. These crosses were not merely decorative. They were considered powerful talismans, imbued with the power to protect against the forces of darkness. The cross also played a significant role in medieval rituals and ceremonies. It was used in blessings, exorcisms, and other religious rites, acting as a conduit for divine power. The act of making the sign of the cross was a common practice, a way of invoking divine protection and warding off evil. This simple act, performed countless times each day, served as a constant reminder of faith and a powerful defense against the unseen forces that lurked in the shadows. Beyond its protective function, the cross also served as a symbol of hope and salvation. In a world plagued by disease, famine, and war, the cross offered a beacon of hope, a promise of eternal life. For those facing death, the cross provided comfort and solace, offering assurance of a peaceful passage to the afterlife. This comforting presence of the cross is evident in countless medieval artworks, where it is depicted alongside scenes of death and resurrection. The cross also held a powerful social and political significance. It was used to mark boundaries, identify religious sites, and distinguish Christian land from those held by other faiths. Kings and queens incorporated the cross into their regalia, using it as a symbol of their authority and their devotion to the Christian faith. The cross was not just a religious symbol. It was a powerful marker of identity, a symbol of both religious and political power. The ubiquity of the cross in medieval society speaks volumes about its importance in the lives of ordinary people. It was a symbol that transcended social class, uniting people of all backgrounds in their shared faith. The cross was a powerful reminder of the divine presence in their lives, offering comfort, protection, and a beacon of hope in a world fraught with uncertainty. As we gently reflect on the profound symbolism of the cross in the Middle Ages, we are reminded of its multifaceted nature. It was a religious icon, a protective amulet, a ritualistic object, and a potent symbol of hope and salvation. Its presence permeated every aspect of medieval life, serving as a constant reminder of faith and a powerful expression of devotion. May the enduring image of the cross gently guide your thoughts towards peaceful rest. The cross, in its simplicity and power, stands as a testament to the enduring strength of faith in the face of adversity, reminding us of the profound ways in which symbols can shape beliefs and the human experience. Let the image of the cross, a symbol of hope and resilience, now gently lull you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Now, let us drift into the hushed chambers of medieval homes, where the line between the sacred and the mundane often blurred. Imagine the quiet stillness of the night, the flickering candlelight casting long shadows on the walls, and a sense of vulnerability in the air, a vulnerability that was often addressed through a unique and perhaps surprising practice: sleeping with relics. Relics, fragments of saints' bodies, or objects associated with them, held immense power in the medieval world. They weren't merely historical artifacts. They were believed to possess a potent spiritual energy, capable of protecting those who held them close. This belief extended beyond the daytime hours. The comforting presence of a relic was sought even in the vulnerability of sleep. Picture a humble peasant family, their dwelling simple yet filled with a deep faith. As night descends, a small, intricately carved box is carefully placed beneath the family's bed. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft velvet, rests a fragment of bone, purportedly belonging to a local saint known for their miraculous healings. This relic isn't a mere decorative item. It's a powerful amulet, a tangible link to the divine, a source of protection against the night's unseen dangers. The belief wasn't limited to the peasantry. Wealthy nobles and even royalty often slept with relics, seeking their protective power. Imagine a richly adorned reliquary, crafted from precious metals and inlaid with jewels, resting on a bedside table in a grand castle. Within its protective embrace lies a sliver of wood, allegedly from the true cross, or perhaps a lock of hair from a revered saint. This wasn't just ostentatious display. It was a tangible expression of faith and a powerful symbol of protection against both earthly and spiritual threats. The rationale behind sleeping with relics stemmed from a deeply held belief in the saints' continued intercession even after death. Saints weren't just historical figures. They were active participants in the lives of the faithful, their spiritual power extending beyond the grave. Sleeping with a relic was considered a way to invite this protective power into one's life, ensuring a safe and peaceful night's rest. It wasn't just about physical protection. It was also about spiritual solace. The presence of a relic offered comfort and reassurance in the face of anxieties and uncertainties. In a world fraught with illness, war, and natural disasters, the relic provided a sense of security, a tangible connection to the divine, a promise of protection and peace. The practice also served a social function. Ownership of a powerful relic could enhance one's status within the community. Families would often proudly display their relics, demonstrating their piety and their connection to the sacred. The presence of a relic in the home served as a symbol of both faith and social standing. The intimacy of sleeping with a relic speaks volumes about the medieval worldview. The boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds was fluid, and the sacred was deeply interwoven into the fabric of daily life. The practice wasn't viewed as superstitious or irrational. It was a deeply spiritual act, a testament to the unwavering faith and the profound anxieties of the medieval people. However, it's essential to remember that not all relics were genuine. The medieval period saw a flourishing of relic forgery, with many objects passed off as authentic despite lacking true historical connection to saints. Yet, the belief in the power of the relic remained undiminished, highlighting the depth of faith and the yearning for protection that fueled this practice. As we gently consider this practice, we can appreciate the profound significance it held in the medieval world. Sleeping with relics wasn't just a physical act. It was a deeply spiritual experience, offering comfort, protection, and a tangible connection to the divine. It was a testament to the unwavering faith and the pervasive anxieties that shaped the lives of medieval people. Let the thought of this unique practice gently lull you into a peaceful slumber. May the comforting presence of faith, even in its most unusual forms, guide your dreams. Now, let us gently turn our attention to a deeply ingrained aspect of medieval religious life, the cult of virginity. In the tapestry of medieval beliefs, virginity, particularly for women, held a profound and multifaceted significance, extending far beyond the purely physical. It wasn't merely a state of being. It was a powerful symbol, a social marker, and a spiritual ideal woven intricately into the fabric of religious and societal structures. The elevation of virginity to such a high status stemmed from the theological interpretations of the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary, conceived without sin and remaining a virgin throughout her life, became the ultimate embodiment of purity and holiness. Her image, often depicted in serene and ethereal beauty, permeated medieval art and religious iconography, serving as a powerful symbol of spiritual perfection and a guiding light for women. This idealized image of Mary, however, placed an immense pressure upon women in medieval society. Virginity became synonymous with piety, virtue, and spiritual worth. A woman's value, both socially and spiritually, was often inextricably linked to her chastity. The loss of virginity was not merely a physical act. It was perceived as a moral transgression, a stain on her spiritual purity, and a potential obstacle to salvation. This pressure manifested in various ways. Convents offer a refuge for women seeking to maintain their virginity and dedicate their lives to religious service. The cloistered life, characterized by seclusion and devotion, provided an alternative to the societal pressures associated with marriage and motherhood, allowing women to pursue a life of spiritual contemplation and purity. The convent walls offered a sanctuary, shielding them from the worldly temptations and expectations that threatened their commitment to virginity. However, not all women had the option of entering a convent. For those who remained in the secular world, the pressure to remain chaste remained immense. Marriages were often arranged, and a woman's virginity became a crucial factor in determining her marriageability and her future social standing. The loss of virginity before marriage could lead to social ostracization, economic hardship, and even violence. The value placed upon virginity often overshadowed other aspects of a woman's character and potential. This emphasis on virginity also led to the development of various practices aimed at preserving it. Girdle belts, often intricately crafted and adorned with religious symbols, were worn as a physical and symbolic reminder of chastity. They weren't merely articles of clothing. They were powerful amulets, reinforcing a woman's commitment to her virtue and serving as a visible testament to her piety. The concept of virginity extended beyond its physical aspect. It also encompassed a wider notion of purity and spiritual innocence. Women were expected to maintain a certain level of modesty, both in their attire and their behavior. Public displays of affection or any indication of sexual experience were often met with disapproval and social condemnation. The ideal of the pure, chaste woman permeated various aspects of medieval life, shaping social interactions and influencing the expectations placed upon women. The cult of virginity, while seemingly straightforward, reveals a complex interplay between religious ideals, social pressures, and individual experiences. It offers a glimpse into the lives of medieval women, highlighting the constraints and expectations they faced and the ways in which they navigated the conflicting demands of religious piety and societal norms. The pressure to maintain virginity was not merely a religious matter. It was a powerful social force that profoundly shaped the lives and opportunities available to women in the Middle Ages. It's a testament to the power of religious belief in shaping social structures and individual lives. The enduring legacy of this emphasis on virginity is a reminder of the historical context that shaped views on women's roles and sexuality. Understanding this historical perspective allows us to appreciate the complex ways in which religious beliefs have influenced social norms and expectations throughout history. As we reflect on the cult of virginity, let its complexities gently lull you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Let the quiet contemplation of this historical phenomenon guide your dreams to a tranquil and serene place. May your slumber be undisturbed and your rest profound. Now, let's drift gently into the heart of medieval life, where the rhythm of existence was deeply interwoven with the cadence of religious festivals and celebrations. These weren't merely occasions for religious observance. They were vibrant threads in the social fabric, shaping community bonds, offering respite from the daily grind, and providing a shared experience that transcended social divisions. Imagine, if you will, a sun-drenched springtime morning. The air, still carrying the scent of damp earth, vibrates with the anticipation of Easter. Villages awaken to the joyous pealing of bells, their melodies echoing through cobbled streets and across verdant fields. Families, dressed in their finest attire, gather at the village church, their faces reflecting a mixture of piety and festive cheer. The air hums with the collective energy of a community united in celebration. Easter, a pivotal moment in the Christian calendar, was far more than a solemn religious observance. It was an explosion of color, sound, and shared experience. The somber penitence of Lent gave way to the exuberant joy of resurrection, transforming the landscape of daily life. Games, feasts, and communal gatherings filled the days, creating a vibrant tapestry of celebration that permeated every aspect of life, from the humblest cottage to the grandest manor. Similarly, Christmas, with its blend of religious devotion and festive merriment, brought a warmth to the often bleak winter months. The nativity scene, with its depiction of the humble birth of Christ, resonated deeply with the medieval populace. It served as a powerful reminder of the divine love and the promise of salvation, offering solace and hope during the cold, dark days of winter. The festive cheer, with its bonfires, carols, and shared meals, helped to bind the community together, fostering a sense of warmth and camaraderie. Beyond these major holidays, the medieval calendar was punctuated by a multitude of saints' days and religious festivals, each with its own unique character and significance. These events provided a regular rhythm to life, offering moments of respite and celebration throughout the year. Local saints, often associated with miraculous healings or interventions, held a particularly strong appeal, their feast days marked by local processions, fairs, and communal gatherings. These festivals weren't just religious observances. They were vital social events that strengthened community ties. They provided opportunities for people from different social strata to come together, fostering a sense of shared identity and purpose. The shared experiences of feasting, dancing, and participating in religious processions created a strong sense of community, reinforcing social bonds and strengthening the collective spirit. The religious festivals also served as important economic events. Markets and fairs often accompanied these celebrations, providing opportunities for trade and exchange. Merchants and artisans converged from far and wide, their stalls overflowing with goods and wares. These events provided a much-needed boost to the local economy, stimulating trade and fostering economic growth. The vivid descriptions of medieval festivals in literature and art offer a glimpse into the vibrant and communal nature of these events. They weren't simply solemn religious occasions. They were vibrant celebrations, filled with music, dancing, feasting, and communal merriment. The shared experience of these festivals served as a powerful reminder of the importance of community and collective identity. As we gently drift towards the end of our journey through the medieval religious landscape, let us remember that these festivals and celebrations weren't isolated events. They were integral parts of the medieval world, shaping the rhythm of daily life, fostering community bonds, and offering moments of joy and respite amidst the challenges and uncertainties of the time. The echoes of these celebrations still resonate today, a testament to their enduring power and their significance in shaping the cultural landscape of the Middle Ages. Let the gentle rhythm of these medieval festivities lull you into a peaceful and restful sleep. May your dreams be filled with the vibrant colors and sounds of these ancient celebrations, and may your rest be deep and restorative. As the embers of our journey through the medieval world begin to fade, let us pause to reflect on the tapestry of faith we have woven together. It's a tapestry rich in color, intricate in detail, and often surprisingly different from the simplified narratives we might encounter. The religious beliefs of the Middle Ages were not a monolithic entity. They were a vibrant, dynamic interplay of Orthodox Christianity, folk traditions, and deeply personal experiences. This intricate blend shaped not only the spiritual lives of individuals, but also the very fabric of their daily existence. From the awe-inspiring grandeur of cathedrals to the humble prayers whispered in peasant cottages, faith was a constant presence, a guiding force that permeated every aspect of medieval life. The fear of divine retribution mingled with fervent piety, the solace of saints' relics intertwined with anxieties surrounding demonic possession and witchcraft. This complex interplay of faith, fear, and superstition shaped interpretations of natural events, influenced social structures, and even dictated individual choices, from the selection of a spouse to the decisions made during times of illness or hardship. The Black Death, a devastating plague that swept across Europe, further intensified this interplay of faith and fear. The sheer scale of death and suffering profoundly impacted religious beliefs, leading to a surge of fervent piety in some and a descent into despair and self-flagellation in others. The relentless nature of the plague fostered a deeper contemplation of mortality, leading to a heightened sense of the fragility of life and the importance of preparing for the afterlife. This contemplation of mortality was not merely a matter of individual concern. It was a collective experience that deeply shaped medieval society. The belief in purgatory, limbo, and the vividly depicted hellscapes of medieval art served as powerful reminders of the consequences of earthly actions and the importance of living a righteous life. These beliefs weren't abstract theological concepts. They were deeply personal and profoundly impactful, shaping individual choices and communal practices. The veneration of saints and relics was another significant aspect of medieval religious life. Saints were not distant figures. They were seen as powerful intercessors, capable of intervening in the lives of ordinary people. Relics, often fragments of saints' bodies or objects associated with them, were highly valued, believed to possess miraculous powers and offer protection and comfort. From the humblest peasant to the most powerful monarch, people slept with these relics, seeking their spiritual protection and solace. The emphasis on virginity, particularly for women, reflected the profound influence of the Virgin Mary, a figure revered as the epitome of purity and holiness. This ideal, deeply ingrained in medieval society, had significant implications for women's social standing, spiritual worth, and life choices, shaping their roles within the community and their access to opportunities. The religious festivals and celebrations of the medieval period served not only as religious observances, but also as vital social events, fostering community bonds and shared experiences. These festivals brought together people from all walks of life, providing opportunities for social interaction, trade, and communal celebration. They offered moments of respite and joy amidst the hardships of daily life, reinforcing social ties and strengthening the collective spirit. In conclusion, the religious beliefs of the Middle Ages were far more diverse and complex than often portrayed. They were a vibrant tapestry woven from Orthodox Christianity, folk traditions, and the personal experiences of individuals grappling with the challenges and uncertainties of their time. This complex interplay of faith, fear, and superstition shaped not only the spiritual lives of individuals, but also the very fabric of medieval society, leaving an enduring legacy that continues to resonate even today. As we gently drift off to sleep, let the echoes of this rich and complex history lull you into a peaceful and restful slumber. May your dreams be filled with the sights and sounds of the medieval world, and may your rest be deep and restorative. Good night.